Dr. James T. The name evokes vivid images and wonderful memories. He was husband, father, friend, teacher, mentor, coach, and much more. Jim Tiedge was a man for all seasons.
One word to describe Jim. One word. Wow.
Wow. Perhaps that's the word.
The one word that I believe best describes Dr. Tiedge was probably challenging.
Demanding.
Perfectionist.
Driven.
Passionate. Loyalty.
Distinguished.
Supportive.
Provocative.
Well, definitely complicated.
It's hard to come up with one word, but I think it would be integrity. Everything he did with integrity.
Jim always lived the life of ethics.
Dedicated to the college, dedicated to his students.
I think he loved and cared for the students, and they cared and loved him as well.
I came up here with my parents and we met Jim Tiedge, and he was just very, very personable. I knew in an instant this is where I wanted to be.
Jim Tiedge had several nicknames. He was called Pierre Squeegee Tiedge, and one alias he earned with honor.
Jim was known by a fair number of undergraduate students as CD Tiedge because it was his most common grade in Breck or Broco 160. And since it's a required course, you have to have a C. If you don't get a C, you take it again.
First day of class, walks in, just slammed the door, gazed across the class. By the end of the week, 50% of you will not be here. So who wants to save me the trouble and just leave now? I think there's 3 kids that got up and left. Never saw them again.
He would scare the bejesus out of him.
There is no doubt that everyone has ever sat in a classroom and thought, okay, what does he want?
You thought you knew what he wanted, you didn't know what he wanted.
And when you had an opinion, even if you might have agreed with your opinion, he'd always go in the opposite direction and argue with you, just for the sake of arguing. He'd always challenge you on your answers.
I wish very much that everyone had him, because it was part of going through the program. You had to survive Teachers Club, and it's your badge of honor.
He took his job very seriously, even though we used to make fun of him for his clothes.
He'd walk in every morning, and my office door is always open, and he'd stop to show me what he was wearing there. He was a real clothes horse.
Did he wear turtlenecks a lot?
A turtleneck and a jacket blazer.
Tan or brownish jacket with the patches. I know, it might even have had tassels for all I remember.
I think he aspired to be a disco dancer.
The second part of the resurrection is going to include Tiedge coming back once those outfits come back in style.
But it made him him. I mean, it's what made him unique. You always like, hey, there's Mr. Tiedge.
I want to thank you all for coming, and good friends are hard to find, good families hard to find, and even good students are hard to find.
Jim was a funny guy, but you have to realize when he's being funny.
First word that comes to mind would be sarcastic.
This is one of our brighter students at Marquette.
I was at a graduation ceremony, and I was receiving a diploma, which, it was an empty folder. Dr. Tiedge handed me the empty diploma, looked at me, smiled, and said, "Pretty optimistic, aren't we?"
He once asked for a new electric typewriter. The request was denied, and he wrote a very long thank you letter to the administration.
Dear Half Price or Gene, take your pick. My congratulations to you and the higher administration on your profound wisdom and forethought.
Saying he appreciated their vision because he knew they didn't want to waste money on electric typewriters.
Furthermore, you are now not saddled with obsolete items which would clutter my office when you deliver my computer and word processor. You deserve the highest praise.
Ooh, sunshine.
He liked the competition. He was a competitor.
We had a pickup game with Pierre and his cohorts one Saturday morning. It was a disaster for us kids because they took a shellacking to us. He found some ringers.
He had to. That was his way. He was not going to be beaten by them.
What was supposed to be a touch game turned out to be pretty violent.
There's no such thing as, well, I'm a faculty member, I'm older, I'm slower, I shouldn't be able to compete. It's irrelevant. Let's get on it and win. That's just the way he was.
Dr. Tiedge always wanted your best, and then some.
Jim being Jim, he was always looking for more. If you feel you have power, do something good with it. You could do more. You could do more.
At Marquette University, Jim Tiedge was surrounded by people who also demanded more. Administration, faculty, staff, and students all wanted to build something special, and they did.
He always had more plans for Breck, but he was very proud of what we built. He knew this was one of the top broadcast programs in the country. We were clicking.
Jim Tiedge was one of a group of people who did some remarkable things at a remarkable time, at a remarkable place. And there are a lot of kids, older adults, who are who they are today because they had the good fortune to meet these people, Jim Tiedge and friends, and have lived much, much more fulfilling and satisfying lives as a result of that.
So here we are 25 years later, remembering him, celebrating him, and missing him.
Oh, I miss Jim Tiedge. I miss him all the time. I miss him when I hear about values and hear about ethics and never accepting less than your best.
Dr. Tiedge was our professor, mentor, colleague. Jim Tiedge was our friend. He touched us, he changed us, and still today he is part of us. We are his legacy.
Here's a guy who could have done anything with his life. Enormous talents, had a big intellect, had a big outsized personality, frankly, who chose to give his time and talent to making young people better prepared for the world.
He used to say, I'll teach you about broadcasting. You'll learn about life. And they were better people for it.
That's the legacy he's left behind. Everybody hopes they can leave that same kind of mark in the world when they leave.
I feel very lucky that I knew Jim Tiedge.
I'm blessed that my life intersected with his. And I thank my higher power, my God, every day for having known Jim Tiedge.